You prayed last night, and nothing came back. No peace, no sign, no change in the thing you have been asking God to change. You opened your eyes, checked your phone, listened to the room, and it felt exactly as empty as it did before you prayed. You are not asking for everything. You may be asking for one answer, one door to open, one person to come back, one fear to loosen its grip. And when the silence keeps going, you start asking a question you barely want to say out loud. God, are you even listening? Maybe you have kept praying because you know you are supposed to. You say the right words. You thank Him before you ask. You try to have faith, but some nights your prayer feels less like a conversation and more like speaking into a dark room and waiting for an echo that never comes. Then guilt arrives. You wonder whether you said it wrong, whether you missed some sin, whether your faith is too small. You see someone else tell a story about the answer they received, and instead of feeling encouraged, you feel smaller, because you are still here, still waiting, still hearing nothing. And the hardest part is not always the unanswered request, it is what the silence seems to say about you. It can make you feel overlooked, unimportant, like your pain did not make it far enough to reach heaven. But stay here for a moment, because by the end of this, you will see why the silence you fear may not be proof that you have been abandoned, and you will have a different way to pray when no answer seems to come. The first thing silence does is expose what you were hoping the answer would settle. You ask God to fix the relationship, because then you could finally feel wanted. You ask Him to change the outcome, because then you could finally feel safe. You ask Him to remove the fear, because then you could finally rest. None of those prayers are wrong. Bring them honestly. But when the answer does not arrive on your timetable, the deeper question rises. If this does not change today, can I still believe God is near? That question feels frightening because it asks you to stand without the evidence you wanted. You wanted the text message, the diagnosis to change, the opportunity to appear, the person to understand. Instead, you have another quiet morning. And yet, a quiet morning is not an empty one. Silence is not the same thing as absence. A seed underground is silent. A wound healing beneath a bandage is silent. Roots growing deeper do not make a sound. The fact that you cannot hear movement does not mean nothing is happening. You may say, but I do not need a metaphor. I need God to answer. That is fair. Faith is not pretending pain does not hurt. Faith is bringing the pain into God's presence without turning the pain into a verdict about His heart. So here is the smaller question inside the larger one. What if God is asking you to come closer before He explains anything? Not closer because you earned an answer. Closer because you are hurting, and hurt has a way of making distance feel safer than trust. You can tell God you are disappointed. You can tell Him the waiting has changed you. You can tell Him you are tired of hearing people say, just have faith, when what you really need is somewhere to put your fear. Honest prayer is still prayer. The Psalms are full of people who did not tidy up their emotions before speaking to God. They asked where He was. They asked how long. They cried. They remembered. They kept returning, not because the silence was easy, but because somewhere beneath the silence, they still believed there was someone to return to. Maybe that is your next step. Not a perfect prayer, not a stronger performance, just a true sentence. God, I do not understand this, but I am still here. There is another reason silence can feel unbearable. You may have begun to measure God's love by the speed of His answer. If He changes it quickly, you feel seen. If He does not, you feel forgotten. But God's love was never proven by how efficiently your life unfolds. John chapter 3 verse 16 says that God loved the world so deeply that He gave His only Son, so that whoever believes in Him would not perish but have eternal life. Notice what that means. Before you achieved anything, before you found the right words, before you could prove your faith, God moved toward you in love. The cross is not God saying, I will love you once your life makes sense. It is God saying, I have already come for you. The silence around your current prayer cannot erase that. This does not mean every delay is secretly easy. It does not mean you must call every painful season good. Some things are simply hard, and you are allowed to say so. But the measure of God's love is not whether today gave you the answer you wanted. The measure of His love is that He gave Himself before you could do anything to deserve it. And that changes the question. Instead of only asking, God, why have you not changed this? You can also ask, God, how are you holding me while this is still here? That is not giving up on your request. Keep asking. Jesus taught persistence in prayer. But persistence is not banging on heaven's door to convince God you matter. It is returning to the one who already knows your name, even when you cannot yet see what he is doing. There is a difference between silence as punishment and silence as space. Punishment says, stay away until you fix yourself. But the love revealed in John chapter 3 says, come close, you are loved before you understand. So when you prayed last night and nothing came back, maybe nothing obvious came back, maybe there was no sign you could hold in your hand, but your prayer was not lost in the air. Your words were not too weak. Your tears were not wasted because they did not become an immediate answer. The silence is real. Your longing is real. But neither one is proof that God has left the room. What if, in this very quiet place, God is teaching you that his presence is not only found in the moment the door opens? What if he is near in the waiting, near in the disappointment, near when all you can offer is one tired sentence? You do not have to manufacture peace tonight. You do not have to solve the whole future before you sleep. Pray the request again if you need to. Then add this: God, while I wait, help me receive the love you have already shown me. That is the turn. You are not praying to make God notice you. You are praying from a love that already moved towards you. Carry this with you. God's silence is not a verdict on your worth, and a delayed answer is not the same as a closed heart. If this found you at the right time, tell me in the comments. I am still here. I read everyone, and if you need a place to keep walking through these quiet seasons, subscribe and stay with us.